Hey, John here. Just continuing on where I left off. We were just talking about the love vitamin. Um, and in this, I'm going to go over targeting. This is the second part to the series, and I'm going to go over Oliver Manufacturing. I'm going to do live demos of Oliver Manufacturing, Grossman Justice, and Coca-Cola Home if we get to it. So, just to finish one quick thing with the love vitamin, one thing I would do is for display. Let's just create a new sheet here, and notice I do take time to try to keep things somewhat organized. Campaign, ad group, keyword, and or placement. We'll go over placements for some of the other ones, but basically for the campaign, I'll just name it display. The ad group, I would name it keyword. I'd actually name it around the targeting method. And then the keyword, I would actually just do acne. And I'd try that would literally be how I'd target display advertising for using keywords. So we'll talk about placement targeting in a separate video, I believe. But for keyword targeting, it's literally the acne is not, it's targeted enough. So that being said, display probably won't work for this product right away until the search obviously has to work before display can work. But there's a lot of volume on display. So okay, let's move on to Oliver Manufacturing. So for Oliver Manufacturing, we kind of said we may need more info for some of the competitors. We may need, very, very specific industry information, but we do know some of the generic campaigns. So let's go into how we do this. So let's bring up Oliver Manufacturing here. And keep in mind, business to business is extremely targeted. It's not, online advertising isn't going to be for maybe a company this specific. It isn't going to be the main driving force for clients for these sorts of businesses because they're selling, $200,000 pieces of equipment, and the number of people that actually need this equipment is probably within the 4 digits. There are probably only a few thousand companies in the entire United States which would even consider buying some of these, gravity table separators. If even a few thousand, it may be driven by only a few companies, a few major agricultural firms or companies. I don't know how the industry works, but the point is, in lots of cases, if you are a business to business company, you're going to know all of the people that you want to sell to, and you're going to be able to, go to, Hoover's or, Dun and Bradstreet and actually just download a list or figure out, just go to an industry conference to figure out who are those few thousand companies that you want to be selling to. And that's why, telemarketing is very big. But, so if there are only a few thousand companies, and let's say, you can at least contact every single one of them using telemarketing or direct mail or, a conference. In that case, remarketing might actually be the most important campaign for your company because you've already somehow come in contact with every one of the, let's say 5,000 companies that would consider purchasing this equipment in your industry. They might all be pixel. They might all actually be familiar with your company, It just may be a matter of keeping yourself in front of them, um, in front of their eyes with a consistent remarketing campaign. But that being said, online advertising can be an insanely, a support vehicle for this. So let's, without further ado, go into this. So targeting, first we want to always start off with our brand campaign. So Oliver Manufacturing brand, and we're just going to do campaign, ad group, keyword, type. And as normal, we're going to go to the keyword planner and we're going to type in Oliver Manufacturing. Let's get some ideas. So Oliver Manufacturing, Oliver Equipment. So now I don't know what Oliver Equipment is, but we might want to see, is this the same thing as Oliver Manufacturing? Oliver Equipment Company. And this looks like a different company from Oliver Manufacturing because it's based in Texas, whereas the other company was based in Colorado. Manufacturing, Colorado. So this is a completely different. So this is another example of a good, of a B2B company. The Oliver Equipment Company is probably familiar with most of their buyers, or most of the potential buyers for them in their markets. So that would fall under the same category, I would say, as Oliver Manufacturing. Let's so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control U. Look, see it's view source, and I'm actually going to see what are, what did some of the past SEO people define as keywords. So obviously precision sizing. So we have a couple words here. They're using ad roll. They're also using Google Analytics. Bezo, which is another type of retargeting platform. So you can actually learn a lot by going into view source and figuring out what people are doing. So I'm gonna I'm gonna save some of these keywords right here. Not sure if they'll come in handy. Then let's try Oliver Manufacturing. We're not here. Here's one, Oliver MFG. That's good. Oliver Manufacturing Company. Great. Oliver Manufacturing, La Junta, Colorado. Now, one thing we don't want is we don't want people looking for job or jobs, because we don't want them clicking on our ads. We don't want them wasting our money to try to be hired. We're not. This is about getting customers. Jobs, we'll say careers. We could also say something along the lines of resume, CEO, or maybe those are fine. We won't worry about that right now. But you can go crazy with this. Oliver Manufacturing Company. Oliver Gravity. That's an interesting one. I know they sell a gravity machine, but we want to see, how is that correlated, their gravity separators. So maybe they're well known for their gravity separators. Let's actually type in Oliver Manufacturing in here just to see what Google suggests, because that might tell us what they specialize in. Ah, shit. So let me just. So now we're looking at. Okay, so we have a couple searches. Oliver Manufacturing. Let's see if there are any other. So what I'll also want to do is I'll want to add equipment, or I'll just say Oliver equipment as a negative. And we already have jobs and job. I typed in Oliver Manufacturing. Oliver Manufacturing, Texas. So why do they think we're in Texas? So that's something. Okay, so there is an Oliver MFG in Texas. So this makes it really hard. Carpet and vinyl cutting machines on the market today. So what the heck? So there's a company with the same name that's in Texas. So what we've got to add, I mean, that really complicates our job. Brand negatives, because there's a company that's very similar to ours. But what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all of our equipment, MFG. I'm just going to do equipment. We're also going to get rid of vinyl. We're going to get rid of Texas. We're going to get rid of the word TX. Let's see, what else do we know about? It looks like they specialize in gravity separators. I mean, this is a good one, but it's definitely not fun when there are companies named almost exactly the same. Okay, so we have Oliver Manufacturing, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So let's check that out and see. That might be another potential, that might be another company that is named exactly the same. Oliver Products. Oliver Healthcare Packaging. So if these are on Google Suggest, it means that that other people are searching it. Just added Michigan. Oliver Toilas, Healthcare Packaging. So this is another, again, a B2B company. Same sort of, advertising style we try to do for them, but we're not advertising for them. Carpet, Y-Man. So we're getting a lot of negatives here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to this up, and I'm just going to start adding a ton of negatives. Guessing Y-Man. So we're going to see if Y-Man is Oliver Y-Man. So there are a lot of companies named Olivers, which makes our job a little more difficult. Perspectives on manufacturing industries. What we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of Y-Man. Hopefully that gets rid of some searches. So notice this is different from the Love Vitamin, is that we have to do a lot of a lot more negatives. Oliver Precision Manufacturing, I'm opening up a new tab and I'm looking for it, trying to see if there's anything going on here. Oliver Precision Manufacturing, it looks like that is what it is still referring to Oliver Manufacturing. So I'm going to take Oliver Precision Manufacturing and I'm going to put it in our brand campaign. Let's bring this up here. First I'm gonna grab the current keywords we got, and I'm gonna go back to our sheets and get rid of Oliver MFG. I'm gonna throw in Oliver Precision Manufacturing. Brand. So it'll be a complicated business. Oliver Precision Manufacturing. Manufacturing. Okay, cool. And so notice we are building out negative keyword lists and keyword lists at the same time. Let's keep going down. We see carpet. Let's keep building out our negatives. I think we're on a good roll here. Carpet. So we want gravity separator. So I'm just gonna put the ones we want here. Gravity separator. We don't want Y-Man. We want precision manufacturing. I don't know what Mooncalf is. So we're gonna do another search. What is Mooncalf? They do farm equipment. House equipment. So looks like they almost work in the same industries as Oliver Manufacturing. You know, some of these conveyors and hydrocooler stuff like that. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they're related companies. But I'm gonna guess that these companies are not, that they're completely different and non-related. So I'm actually going to Mooncalf. Maybe the owner's name is Oliver Mooncalf. So who knows? But we're going to use that as a negative there. Oliver White Class A Manufacturing. Again, we're going to have to search for this because we don't know what this is. We're going to have, I mean, this is a lot of negatives we have to go through here. Oliver White. I'm going to get rid of White. Oliver Production Bristol. So Oliver Broadway Buzz. So production and manufacturing. So one thing we'd have to be really worried about is that Google might say that production is similar to manufacturing. So we're just gonna use these production and producing as negatives. Oliver Manufacturing Processing Equipment. This is a possibility. Oliver Production for Schools. Again, we don't do productions. Oliver Manufacturing Rocky Ford, Colorado. So now we know there's Oliver. We know there's Oliver Manufacturing in La Junta, Colorado, but maybe it's also in Rocky Ford. Grain and Feed Equipment Buyer's Guide. So let's look at this. Grain Net, Oliver Manufacturing. So we're seeing it's the same website, olivermanufacturing.com, but maybe they used to be based in Rocky Ford, Colorado. So, you know, all that says is, let's see, they have ads in the equipment catalog of, you know, grain nets, so they must sell to a lot of you know, agricultural people, and they have these sorts of big pieces of equipment here. So now we know, you know, kind of interesting thing from Google search history that they might have been based there. Grain and feed farming suppliers. So this is what I'm talking about, is that they may, you know, they probably have every one of their potential buyers in the agricultural industry probably subscribes to this catalog, or at least 80%. So these are other obviously good channels for marketing in some of these B2B niches. Okay, let's get rid of some of these. Oliver First Production, Oliver Manufacturing Grand Rapids, Oliver Manufacturing Gravity Separator. We already have that there. Glasgow, we already got rid of production, so we don't have to worry about these terms. Notice, since we have production as a negative, Glasgow or Guernsey won't show up. Or these terms won't show up. Again, production is negatived out. That could have been a really bad term that would just get rid of a lot of our stuff. We're going to get rid of Junior and James, even though those should be negatived out by just the fact that it's production. Oliver Production, KS2, Manufacturing. Manufacturing, Grand Rapids. We already got rid of Grand Rapids, and we have Michigan here. So we're seeing a lot of these terms that would show up, Oliver Production, are being negatived out. Processing equipment. Manufacturing, Rocky Ford, Colorado. Oliver Manufacturing Supply Co. So now we want to see, is this our company as well? So this may have, you know, somehow this is showing up for Oliver Manufacturing Supply. Okay, here we go. Oliver Manufacturing Supply Co. Port Reading, New Jersey. So let's check this out. This looks like a completely different business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to it doesn't look to be very popular, very common anywhere. So I'm just going to get rid of New Jersey. But supply may be one of our keywords. So I don't want to put in supply, because that might get rid of you know, some of our machines deal with, you know, sorting grain supplies or whatnot. So I'm just, you know, it doesn't seem to be a big enough of a problem. Oliver Manufacturing Gravity Separator. Texas, keep in mind, lots of these terms don't matter because it's production. The word production is already negatived out. White Wyman. EX is negatived out, but we can also add in Waxahachie. So there's another negative. Oliver Production and Wyman. So we got a lot of negatives. Notice this campaign, we have a ton of negatives going on. So that's definitely something that's a bit unique about this account. Now let's let's start looking for more keywords. Now let's modify this search, and I'm going to add in those 3 keywords, Rocky Ford, Colorado, etc., just to see what their search volumes are, or if they have any search volume. So we're seeing not a lot of search volume here, less than 10 searches a month, and this is our main keyword right there. So let's see if we see any more Oliver Manufacturing related terms. So it seems like that basically sums it up for this group. Notice there's not a lot of search volume, but what we will do is we have to add in a ton of negatives. As you saw, we have a ton of negatives right here, and so I'm doing Control X. So I'm going to take those terms and I'm going to throw them right in here. And I'm going to move these down 2 spaces. And I'm going to put this in broad, phrase, exact, and I'm going to put all the rest of these keywords in exact match right there. I'm going to do my favorite little formula. I do concatenate. I add, oopsies. I'm going to add a plus. Then I'm going to tell it to replace all those spaces with a space plus and end. And we have Oliver Manufacturing. So yeah, so those are our keywords right there. Not a lot of searches, but still it kind of segments us out. Now some of these campaigns, you know, we'll be able, the search volume is going to be so low that it's you know, it's really, yeah, it's just so, these AdWords campaigns aren't going to spend a lot of money. But the good thing is, for a company like this, the return on investment can be so massive. You know, if this helps you get 1 or 2 more sales, you know, if you spent, you know, $10,000 or $20,000 for the year and it turned into, you know, $500,000 more of orders, definitely made its, you know, made itself. Out there. So let's look at this keyword planner. Now, so one thing we do know, one thing I did take away is that it looks like their gravity separator and their processing equipment is are pretty important. So I'm actually going to, because everything's so targeted, I'm going to actually start I'm just going to build out the generic campaign in this sheet. And let's throw this in Uber Suggest as well. So keep in mind, there may be a ton of different types of gravity separators. Oliver Manufacturing might only sell, oh my gosh, yeah, there's not a lot here. Cream separator. No, this is. So here's some keywords: gravity separation, gravity table separator, gravity separator for sale. Oliver gravity separator. We know they're known for their gravity separation table. Again, it's not about volume here. If we're figuring about 4,000 companies or live in this industry, potential buyers, you know, if let's say all these searches are being done by, you know, this is like 150 people, that's good, you know, because it's putting your name in front of them again. Gravity table. Now, this is where I do a lot of research, but frankly, the search volumes are so small, you can't, it's hard to waste a lot of money. If you figure you're only going to get about 1 out of every 20 searches is going to be a click, that just means you're just going to spend $1 on this keyword per month, most likely. Oliver gravity table, that's good. Shows our name is associated with these gravity tables. Oliver inversion system. So what is an inversion system? Okay. So Oliver gravity separator. I think we already. So I think this should yeah, see, we're not getting any, there are no search terms here along the lines of between 2 to 10,000, but this is because we're working in business to business. We're working with such a small audience here that, this is, keep in mind there are 4,000 potential, let's just use that number, but there may be only like 4,000 or 2,000 or something potential people that are ever even going to consider being customers for this sort of product. And they might not always need this product. They might not be always buying these products. They might only buy one once every 5 years. So if that's the case, as it looks to be in this industry, I doubt these people are buying dozens of, each company is buying, many new pieces of equipment for $250,000 every year. It's really, the search volume is going to be really low. So we aren't ever going to find a keyword that's getting over 2,000 searches, at least not that I believe. So if gravity separator is the main keyword, then I guess we're just going to have to build much smaller ad groups. Keep in mind, everything, everything's separate. Everything's, every business is different. Marketing, it cannot be it cannot be software programs or robots cannot do it. It cannot be automated because it is such a vital function to companies, and it's a dynamic conversation. Now we have, let's see if we can get any more ideas. We have gravity separator. We put in Uber suggest. Now what we're seeing is a number of things, India, UK, etc. Now, we're starting to see ideas. Oh, Bueller. Bueller might be a company that's a competitor. If we look up Bueller, what is that? So Bueller Group. And we might start seeing, okay, Bueller is, another B2B company that we might be competing against. So products, it looks like gravity separator is one of their products, but it also looks like they have an enormous number of products here. They have, energy management, feed gate, vibro sister, vibro discharger. I bet all these things are extremely expensive as well. Smart shock. Let's just see what some of these products are so we get an idea. It's a feed gate. And higher flower yield. So yeah, this is all for agricultural kind of, manufacturing and agricultural supplies and processing, but this is not what we're selling. So now we want to ask ourselves, so most of their items do not seem like items that we are selling, which means, what I'm trying to understand is, can we advertise on the term Bueller Group or similar? It doesn't seem so. It seems that they sell so many products that are not similar to ours that we're not, Oliver Manufacturing, keep in mind, they only sell a few products. They only sell, really, it seems to be their gravity separators and their, they're about, 5 products. Bed dryer, destoner, gravity separator, color sorter, precision sizer. So this might not be their target market right here. The same people that buy Bueller Group may be a large array of people, whereas Oliver may only sell a segment of that. So this isn't a direct, even though this is a competitor for our products, the company overall is very different, if that makes sense. Bueller sells gravity separator. I'm gonna, so what I'm trying to think is, are we still going to show up for this term though? It does seem that we will show up for this term because we are going to advertise on the word gravity separator. But at the same time, I'm going to keep tabs on some of these other guys. We have Bean. Bean sells gravity separators as well, it seems. I'm guessing this is a company. Gravity separation. Okay, so this is actually just talking about coffee beans. There aren't a lot of people advertising on this word. Gravity separation, Cimbria. So this may be talking about separation for specific items, such as whatever Cimbria is. So what I would do is, if I were in the business owner's point of view, or if I was managing the PPC here, I would watch every single one of these videos. You start understanding exactly what's going on. I'm starting to understand what is the difference between vertical gravity separators and cyclone gravity separators, etc. Cyclone might be a brand we're going up against, or it may be a type of, it may describe a type of that process. These are all questions I'm asking myself, and to do the best advertising, the more you learn, the more you'll cyclonic separation. So it is a type of separation. So we're going to want to understand, is our type of gravity separator, is it a cyclonic gravity separator or is it not? And that will that will help us know, should cyclone be a negative or should it be a positive term? It all depends. But you can only find that out spending hours going through all this. But by going through all this and fully understanding exactly how to target the marketing and make it effective, it'll make everybody a lot more money. Enhanced, liquid, gravity separator, design, gravity oil separator. Gravity separator seems, this is interesting. Looks like a actual part number. A great one. So if we can get an idea of every single, the actual code for every single the SKU number for all the different competitor gravity separators, will be pretty, it'll help us out a lot. So looking at this, it could give us keywords. Capacity, it does. We're seeing what it sorts: corn, wheat, soybeans, peas, beans, clover, coffee. Company's based in Austria, Cimbria. So, let's see. Yeah, going through all these and finding out all the names, what I would do is I'd actually go through and I'd find out all the names of the competitor products and advertise on those terms. So I'm guessing if they say gravity separator GA310, I'm guessing a term could be Cimbria. Is that it? Cimbria? Cimbria GA310. So let's see if that shows up. Another thing that I'm gonna modify right now is I'm actually going to target the entire world because this is a these gravity separators, they're sold all over the world to a worldwide clientele. This, we may actually be limiting ourselves, because one thing I'd noticed was that when we're looking at their keywords, we saw they sell, they manufacture in the US, but they sell all over the world. So it says South American markets, Asia, and New Zealand. North America, South America, Asia, and New Zealand. So maybe that's where you want to target. Let's build out the rest of the ad groups. What we'd do is we'd also just going to use my handy dandy formula here. And then we just do the same thing. Hope you're getting the idea of how this works by now. Precision sizer. We'd want to go to that sheet, size right, precision sizers. Find anything here. And Oliver Precision Sizer. What were the other terms we got? Processing equipment, gravity separator. Seems like the gravity separator is the most important product here. I may not understand the way that people purchase these things, but that could be the, because everything seems to be based around separation. Precision sizer. Now, what I try to do is again, I don't have enough industry knowledge, so I'm kind of flying blind here, but I'm just going to try to find out some stuff. I could spend hours trying to figure this out on my own, but usually the best thing to do is just have, I should just have a phone call with the person who runs this company. Not that I'm working with them, but processing equipment. Oliver Precision Sizer is in main term. So this may actually be too broad. If I looked for agriculture, manufacturing equipment, that may constitute way too many things. So agriculture equipment. Again, this is a very specific industry, but it may be too broad to to look at some of these things. Let's check this out. Milk, farm equipment. Yeah, this is going to be too broad. So in this case, we're going to kind of leave it. These are going to be the two main campaigns. I would search for. Let's try these out actually, real quick, just to see if we can get any more keywords in here. Color sorter, fluidized bed dryer, and destoner. So I'd still throw in I'd end up throwing these keywords in, and I'd create their own ad groups, or I'd put them all in just one ad group. But I'd most likely create their own ad groups for them, just fluidized bed dryers, and just riff off of that. Find out what other things are similar. The problem is, there isn't any problem here, but it's not going to be a very high spending campaign. But again, you have to realize there aren't a lot of people in this market, and online is not the main way people search for their agricultural processing equipment. Lots of people do search for their agricultural. You have to always understand the market and how the people want to buy things. It does look like there are a couple magazines and a couple conventions or trade shows where people really go and they find out about the companies that are, that are selling all of the equipment in the industry. That being said, we still have to make sure we advertise. So I don't know who the competitors are, but what I would do is, if I had more time, is I would set up ad groups for fluidized bed dryers, color sorter, and the other keyword we had mentioned, destoner. I would also take some time to search for the exact brand name and the model numbers of their gravity separators, so that I could go after go after them. If this is a Cimbria GA310, maybe there are other models that people look at that are just insanely highly targeted that could help. Maybe people are looking for Cimbria GA310 parts, or replacement, etc. And if we show up in front of their face and say, instead of the Cimbria GA310, try consider the Oliver gravity separator device instead, that might be a lead into a potentially very large deal. So we definitely want to do that extra due diligence, find out what those terms are. Other stuff to note here, the remarketing obviously is going to be very big, so I would do a competitor campaign. I would do a competitor campaign, and I'd say brand and model numbers. Then I'd also do the remarketing campaign. We'll go over in a different section, but a remarketing campaign, basically, you're just, you're targeting audience. I just say remarketing. You're targeting an audience, then there will be no display campaign for this. There will be no display campaign for this, because the thing is, with a B2B company like this, it's way too targeted, that display advertising will have very much of an effect. And keep in mind, companies like, the people are not, this is, to purchase some of this equipment, like, it's $250,000 per machine. People are not going to just randomly be perusing the internet one day and say, hey, I want to buy, I've never heard of any of these companies, but I want to buy a machine. Generally, there's no way to, the only display advertising that's going to work is remarketing advertising. General display advertising, such as putting your ads on the NewYorkTimes.com, is not going to work. So it's only going to work if they've already expressed interest by being in one of your remarketing audiences. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that and I hope that's explained this, all of this for Oliver Manufacturing, and how you would go about the keyword and advertising setup. I'll just say no display, and just to drive home the other ad groups that I would create here, I would do destoner, fluidized bed dryer, and color sorter. And that would be it. And then I just build out these ad groups, same way I did with these. But overall, this campaign will spend very small amounts of money per month. It will probably spend less than, just maybe a few $100s if you're really doing well. I hope that's been helpful. Thanks for watching. I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to go into how I'd set up AdWords advertising for the Grossman Law Firm, as well as Coco Home in the next video. Thanks for watching.